Good morning.
Hey, letting some people jump on. I know it's a snowy day in some of these areas and certainly interesting on the roads. Just going to give it a few minutes. How's everyone this morning?
Good.
Good, good. Everybody getting ready for holidays and things like that. Chris, my man, good to see you. It's been a minute. Ray and I were emailing at ungodly hours as per normal this morning.
It was dark.
Dark.
Ray, do you guys have snow down there?
You know what? We didn't until yesterday morning. I woke up to snow on the ground. The other day, I went to London. I did a course for L-Star, and I was in shock at how much snow there was once we got to Tilsonburg and beyond. And
Yeah,
then now we have some. Not near as much as you guys do, but
yeah. We were
enough.
snowmobiling Saturday night just in our area.
Yeah. No, I mean, Saturday night when I went to bed, the grass was green. Sunday morning, it was pure white.
Wow. Hmm.
So just going to give it a few minutes. I see some people have some note takers, no problem. I am recording this for future use. And shortly, I'm going to share my screen over. Just out of curiosity, if anybody wants to throw up a comment in the next couple minutes, or you can certainly indicate it. I'd love to hear what brought you here today, or perhaps what you are looking to learn today. Anything in particular? Nobody? Okay. Got a quiet group this morning. What about, in terms of social media, any big challenges, struggles, things that you want to figure out? Brad, I'm in a new market and looking to gain traction. This session will certainly help you with that because I can 100% guarantee that if you dropped into any market in North America and use some of the things that you learn here, it will be of benefit. Okay, I am going to share over my screen and then we will get going. So everybody can see my screen okay?
Yep.
Cool. Just going to make sure that this is set up. Oops, sorry. Weird video this morning, so I just want to make sure that's yeah. Okay, so in the interest of time, I am going to get started. We can get going. Okay, so the Facebook funnel reloaded, and this is really a session that I did all over North America for a number of years. I've just kind of made some tweaks and adjustments to it because I know that right now people are looking to grow their business. I also know that there's a lot of distraction out there in the market. There's a lot of stuff that's being taught that really has no major relevance in terms of what you can actually do to create business in any market, and it's a right here and right now situation. And so And what you're really about to discover is what I consider the number one organic strategy that consistently books appointments via Messenger, how to turn conversations into closings without ads, cold calls, or spamming people. And this is the exact system that I use to help me generate 200 plus transactions in under 3 years. And those were my first 3 years in the business. And I'm going to teach you how to duplicate it step by step if you take the appropriate action. So, worst case scenario, my promise to you is that if you do the one thing that I teach you today, you will add six figures to your bottom line in 2026. It is a guarantee. Okay, it is a guarantee. And I am making sure that that is done. So, you don't need to take copious amounts of notes. Okay. You can get a lot of resources. I'm sure that you're seeing me post it online in my thread posts, in webinars, all sorts of stuff. I'm going to continue to do that all through the course of 2026. I've got a number of QR codes here for some additional resources, and you will continue to get some follow up with it as well. By all means, if you have questions, let me know. I will stick around on this after if anybody has any specific questions, but you will certainly get the access that you need to additional resources. So, for those of you that don't know me, my name is Ryan Hodge, and I am based out of London, Ontario. I own a multi-office real estate brokerage here and in several other markets. We have a number of partner companies as well that operate alongside of us. My claim to fame, which is a terribly old story now, is that when I first started in real estate, I was involved in over 200 sales in my first 2.5 years. Grew the number one team in my marketplace, scaled a seven-figure real estate company in 3 years, have recruited over 100 highly productive realtors into an independent in 3 years. I've created this Facebook funnel methodology and ultimately nearly 20 years now of training agents and leaders, both inside of real estate and the mortgage environment as well. I've been fortunate to speak for some of the big banks this year. And again, the principles of what I'm sharing today are universal. So you can take it and apply it. There are going to be a couple key points today that I will really drill home in terms of what you really need to look at. Because anytime that you come to any sort of training, when we do a presentation, whether it's 60 minutes or 90 minutes, you can learn all sorts of information. But the challenge is oftentimes we walk away or we leave the session, we take very, very little to no action. My goal today is to support you in looking at, a couple things that you can do, in particular, one specific thing that will be fundamentally changing for your business. So the truth about how I built my business. So when people often ask me, how'd you do it? How'd you get started? How'd you have such a quick trajectory inside of real estate when, we know the average realtor typically sells less than 5 homes per year. How'd you build the number one team in your market? How'd you build these big businesses? Things like that. What I share is that the ultimate things that I did were what's called building my list. Okay. So whether you're looking to grow your sales business, whether you're looking to grow a team, whether you're looking to enroll agents into your brokerage environment, what you want to do is look at building your list. Okay. So let's look at an initial framework for list building. And so Brad, who mentioned that he's in a new market, he's looking to grow and scale. The number one thing that I would look at doing is building my list organically. Okay. When you look at, if you have a list of 100 people, and this is a simple reverse engineering methodology. If you have a list of 100 people and people move every 5 to 7 years, okay, conservatively, if you are nurturing that list of 100 in all things reverse engineering, that list should generate you 14.3 transactions each and every year, minimum. And so as you start to look at, well, how do I scale? How do I build? You just start looking at simplifying the complex. Okay, how do we take people that are in the top of funnel? So everything social media, everything, inside of websites, everything inside of marketing, everything inside of our network, that's all top of funnel. right? What we're looking to do is move them through what we call the middle of a funnel so that we can then really actively nurture them into bottom of funnel where they're actually converting. Okay. Anybody that I have ever worked with that has applied this strategy has generated results doing this. And it has nothing to do with the fact that I'm special or that I did anything different. The difference is that I learned how to take action using specific dialogues that are simple, but they've led to millions of dollars in commission. Okay. And that's what I want to show you today. Why do most agents fail at social media? Here's why. And you can see it all day long across every social media platform. And what I'll share too is just because this is called the Facebook funnel, you can apply this strategy to any platform that you prefer. So whether it's Instagram, whether it's TikTok, anything that has a messenger capacity, you can apply this inside of those platforms. Okay, most people, number one, don't want to figure out how to run advertising. Okay, most agents, most broker owners, most team leaders know that advertising is expensive. And if you're not really getting into that ninja capacity of doing it, it's very unscalable for most. Okay, CRMs, so contact relationship managers, and email follow up is also often ignored. Email to me is still probably one of the greatest forms of business cultivation that is completely underutilized. And albeit people are posting things on Facebook, they are not prospecting through Facebook. Most agents have zero daily messaging habit. And so it's important to recognize that we must make some change because you do not have a lead problem. Okay. And leads are words that are thrown around very loosely inside of the real estate environment. All that a lead means is something that came into a environment first. Okay, so whether it's an online lead, whether it's a lead off your direct mail marketing, whether it's a lead from your circle or sphere of influence, whatever it might be, it's just something that came first. And if you just look into the world of social media, and I guarantee that you have hundreds of people on your friend list or on your list, those are all leads, but we're not treating them as leads in most cases. Okay, too often agents are just using those as a place to post irrelevant content that really gets no traction. And they're not utilizing social media and Facebook for what it actually is. And the definition of Facebook, just for perspective, which was given by Mark Zuckerberg, I think back in 2004, was that Facebook is a social networking website designed to connect with your friends and family online. A social networking website designed to connect with your friends and family online. This is where we want to build our list the most. Okay, great. Get face to face with people. Very, very important. But when you look at the scalability of this and the speed to action, the speed to connect with leads, utilizing the social platforms is drastically greater when you're using them to then get face to face, to then take some of these online conversations offline. And the struggle is we are content creators in a very, very challenging time. Okay. The challenge is that I don't know what it is, and I'm sure that many of you agree that within the last 10 years, even through, the pandemic and things like this, agents have become posters of content that actually revolts and repulses the consumer. Okay. Our purpose is not to act like a rock star in terms of what it is that we do. And I'll get to a little bit more on that in a second. Our purpose is to lead, serve, and inspire other human beings into having an experience that you can guide them with. Okay, when we look at, being a leader, that doesn't mean that you need to own a company. It doesn't mean that you need to be a coach or trainer or have a sales team. You can be a leader inside of your market. You can be a leader inside of your family. You can be a leader inside of anything that it is that you want to create and that you want to serve and support on in order to inspire others to take some form of action. What we're not supposed to be doing is just selling people. That is called sales breath. That is where we end up repulsing the consumer and our audience. So remember this content, okay, in terms of content, it either builds trust or it destroys trust. Okay, content either builds trust or it destroys trust. We really have to differentiate in this market. Long time ago, mentor of mine, I was going through some stuff in business and in life, and I hired a mentor. And I said to him, I don't know why things are going so shitty. Things are really not working out for me right now, but I'm doing all of these things. I mean, look at me. I'm selling over 100 homes a year. I'm building this company. I'm doing all this stuff, all these old stories that, you may be familiar with. Number one thing that I've ever heard is you're not that impressive. And when I heard it, I wanted to reach through the phone and, punch this guy's lights out. But it resonated because I'm not. Okay. And as real estate agents, we are not doctors. We are not saving lives. We have a massive opportunity. We have a massive privilege to generate unlimited income earning potential if we serve and support people at a high level. And that is it. Because real estate is nobody's life's purpose. Okay. Nobody's waking up on death's doorstep and saying, gosh, my life would have been so much more complete if I just would have sold one more house. And I've been fortunate over the years to spend time, work with, speak with some really remarkable human beings. Les Brown, one of the top motivational speakers of all time, worldwide, a following that's beyond many, hopes and wildest dreams. Brian Dawkins, 9-time NFL Pro Bowl and Hall of Famer in the NFL. Gary Zukav interviewed more so on Oprah Winfrey than anybody else ever. Wrote the book, The Heart of the Soul and the Seat of the Soul. I did a keynote with Faisal Susiwala, who was Remax's #1 individual agent worldwide a few years ago. And in story after story of the people that I have spent some time with, and what really resonated with me was that none of these people act like most realtors do online, bragging about, what it is that they're doing, talking, negatively online, potentially about the consumer or their audience, or, gossip, or, infighting in groups, like all the stuff. But for some reason, real estate agents, mortgage agents as well, in the last 10 years have just had this smorgasbord of stuff that they're promoting online, which really doesn't advance what we're looking to do in terms of serving and supporting people at a high level. And although we might not be as impressive, I guarantee there are things that you do that are interesting. Okay. Everybody has their gifts. Everybody has their assets. Everybody has a message that they can spread to their audience, that they can share to serve and support whatever it is for you. And, whether you're posting something on health and wellness or your family or things like that, I guarantee that you have things that you can share. You certainly have moments that you can share, and when you look at the content that you post that actually gets the most activity, okay, the content that you post that will actually get the most activity, I guarantee that when you study it for yourself or when you look at other audiences, it's not a just listed or a just sold or the local real estate market stats, which, by the way, if that's your, marketing plan for 2026, look out, because that's not what's really resonating. Okay. It's the things that you're going to show up and share about you that builds trust, and credibility. Yes, credibility inside of who you are as a human being. Yes, it is important to show some of what you do in terms of results because that creates authority. But it's very important to not just be constantly posting, your brokerage's templated real estate graphics and thinking that that's going to resonate on a deep level with your audience. Personal always crushes professional. If you were to study my social media, and not that mine is for you, I get it. I put myself out there in a drastically different way than most. And you may not want to do that. But if you study the engagement on a personal level, a deep rooted personal level, watch what you can see in terms of traction and activity compared to just the just listed and just sold, which I'll post some of those this week as well. Even if you are not going to go deep dive on sharing anything and everything about your life, you don't have to be a marketing guru to share, a business spotlight, something local that's going to resonate with your audience versus a look at me, I'm number one for the month. Okay. Sharing events or things that you engage with, sharing a webinar like this because you're showing people what you're doing on a daily basis. And what we look at that in terms of the methodology is story branding. Okay, story branding. And there's great bodies of work that you can find all day long online, on Amazon. There's books, webinars, trainers, all sorts of it on story branding. Sharing your story and your experiences with other people. And I can tell you that the deeper that you go with your audience, the deeper that you go with your audience is going to drastically differentiate the connectivity you have with them, and the results will compound in terms of the business that you do. Your story will resonate with the right people, and your story may not be for everyone, but that's okay because the right people always show up. It will resonate in terms of sharing your background, who you are as a human being. It does resonate with what's going on in your market, but showing like the deep, deep value of your market, not just what everybody sees on a surface level. And that's where we start to connect collectively, and that's where you will see results. So in terms of posting, here's what I want to share. And you can probably see this in some of the social that I do if you're following along. I post typically on a 5-to-1 ratio, 5 pieces of value before a call to action. Okay. I want to make sure that I'm posting those value posts so that I'm lessening the barrier of asking for business. Okay. Also, equally critical is reverse engagement. Okay. It's important that people understand that we don't just want them to be interested in us, that we are actually interested in them. So getting out and commenting on other people's posts, liking, loving, sharing other people's posts. This is the formula for not only engaging with them on a deep human level, but also it benefits the algorithm. You want to switch up what you're posting, okay, using images and video and text for additional reach, but switch it up. Key in this, stay positive, relevant, and helpful. We're just there to guide people. Okay, that's it. That's all. And if you develop these deep connections and if you guide them in the right direction with value, I guarantee you're going to see results. You will see me posting what's called a value funnel very consistently. I usually run 2 to 4 of them per month. Okay, and what we call that is a lead magnet. So, for example, you came into this through likely a lead magnet, right? Some form of social media marketing that I put out there that at some point had a call to action to click on a landing page and register the information. What most people really, really miss out on with value funnels is the 4th step. So, for example, let's say you create a value funnel where you have a lead magnet for how to beat other buyers to hot new listings on your website, or you have a value funnel for what's your home's worth in today's changing market. Landing page, people register. That's where the lead is actually created, though. And that is where it's absolutely critical to follow up. Okay, I study online lead generation like you wouldn't believe. My lead machine, which you'll see, posts about nearly weekly, and I will be doing a webinar on that in the new year. It is so crucial to take these leads and follow up. And the simplest follow up in this is, hey, I saw that you registered on my, website for how to beat buyers to hot new listings. Just wanted to make sure that you got that information. Sending that in Messenger or text, especially if you get their phone number, time to pick up the phone and call. Conversion rate drastically increases when you pick up the phone and place a phone call. What you're likely missing right now, if you're doing all of those things, and what many are, which I don't have time to get into all of these today, are the proper integrations with your CRM and automations. Okay, you can do an awful lot with automation right now. Not that we want to take away the personal touch, but as in terms of nurturing people through a funnel, automations will drastically help increase show up rates. If you're doing a webinar, will drastically help differentiate in terms of getting people to engage more. And that always supports in higher conversion rate, more conversations. It is crucial that you are studying email marketing and deliverability. Okay. When you look at email open rates and what you're probably going to see inside of, a MailChimp or a CRM, it's important to look at these things. If you have any other type of online lead generation running, you want to look at your deliverability as well, because if you're just spamming people, your email domain can actually be penalized and in some cases shut down. So you want to be learning and understanding about email marketing and deliverability. Understanding the use of AI enhancements for posting as well. When I started, you could not, make videos with captions or things like that whatsoever. And as the game changed, we started to be able to do it, but at ridiculously high costs. Now you can take, a piece of content and carve it up and have video captions and all sorts of things done like you wouldn't believe for dirt cheap. And that allows you to create a multiple purpose content creation machine where you can take one piece of content and multi-purpose it across every single channel in less than 10 to 15 minutes, really. So if you're not quite there yet, that's okay. That's, the overall big picture. But as you are getting started and as you are beginning to take action and build some of the simple steps out, these are the things to start looking at next. So depending on where you are at your stage of things, this is really, really important. But agents don't understand the Facebook ecosystem. Okay. And I'm going to take you through what that looks like right now. The ecosystem is where people are nurtured. So it's important to build your ecosystem first. Okay. How many people are on your friend list? How many groups are you in? And what is your visibility like? On your friend list, critical to look at, am I adding people? And this is for agents, for example. People that would buy, sell, or potentially refer me real estate. Okay. If you're on the brokerage or the team leader and you're looking to attract agents in your market that you can provide value to, going into groups where you can engage with people to do the same. And inside of it, what you want them to see are posts where you're leading, serving, inspiring, and creating human and heart-centered content. This is what's going to allow you to start creating contacts and conversations daily through the use of Messenger. You're going to use reverse engagement strategies coming from the heart. And as you build relationships, you will qualify them and then you will convert them. That's how the ecosystem is supposed to work. Building the content, building the ecosystem of people that you want to share that content with, but then the magic happens behind the scenes inside of the messaging. Remember, the purpose of content is to lead, serve, and inspire. Okay, leading shows authority and momentum in your business, but it also shows who you are as a human being in the way that you share your messaging. Serving, offering help, and providing value without expectation. Okay, the person that serves and supports other human beings at the highest level, for them, success is never an issue. And if you want to really, really look at your competition right now in the marketplace, I'm going to share with you it is incredibly weak because our industries tend to be in a take, take, take mentality. They're posting things that just say, do business with me, not how can I serve and support you at a high level. And I might not be your source of inspiration, but I guarantee if you look around in the real estate environment, you will find that there are people that do this at a high level that are a source of inspiration. How are you going to inspire others? And it doesn't necessarily need to be just you doing it all yourself. You can share personal growth. You can share family. You can share your own authenticity, but you can also share inspiring stories, albeit, making sure that privacy is adhered to, of your client story. Okay, there's a lot of good people in here that I see you share the story of your clients in their journey towards buying or selling a home. I see some of you leaders that share the story of, an agent trajectory that, came into your company and maybe was struggling and had a profound result. That's different than sharing you're the number one brokerage or the number one team or, the number one agent in your marketplace, do business with me, right? That's not overly inspiring. The purpose is simple: lead, serve, and inspire. So how do we keep that connectivity strong? One, keep it positive. Okay, I exited just about every Facebook group for real estate agents on the planet many years ago because it's trauma, drama, toxic, gossip, negative, infighting. Like, who needs that shit in your world? I can tell you that if you're taking part in that, you're part of the problem. Okay. And what I share with you is by no means am I perfect, but distancing myself from that only increased my business. Okay. You want to keep your content relevant. Okay. When you wake up and you decide what you're going to post, here's a question that you can ask. What are the questions, concerns, or things that keep my audience, likely the consumer, up at night? And how can I market my message as a form of guidance to them? I believe it's through leading, serving, and inspiring. I believe it's through sharing your own story. I believe it's through reverse engagement inside of groups, inside of places that you can interact. I think that using video is one of the most powerful platforms that you can use, albeit graphics and just simple copy still get a pile of engagement. But video allows people to have an experience of you like no other. Two key questions. Is what I am posting coming from a place of contribution, or is what I am posting coming from a place of me seeking validation from my audience? Contribution will win every single time because ultimately validation only lies within. It's nice to be acknowledged. It's nice to be recognized. It's one of our big parts of the hierarchy of needs. But contribution is going to win in business all day long. So how much is too much? I will share that if you are not posting typically 3 to 5 times per day, to go to that upper echelon of building a very, very big audience that is converting at a high level, you need to look at your frequency. And I study this in all the digital marketing masterminds, real estate masterminds that I belong to and spend big bucks on, more posting. Okay. So I get that that can be a struggle because you don't want to feel spammy on your social channels. I know that most of you are not going to walk away from this webinar today and start posting 5 times a day on your Facebook. So if you're not, what I'm talking about is posting 5 pieces of value that can contribute to other human beings or share your story before asking for business, before a call to action. Okay, I like to get out and reverse engage on other people's content 3 times as much as I post my own. It's not easy to do when we're busy, okay? But if you're thinking about it, how do I have conversations? How do I show up and show people that I care about them? This is where it gets really simple if you start to look at how much time am I going to spend doing this a day? An hour or less, probably 30 minutes or less if you're just following this framework. I typically will use graphic and video at a 10 to 3 to 1 dynamic. Now, I've really amped my video up where these numbers probably shift based on short form content, reels, shorts, things like that. Because I can take whether I'm out speaking or whether I'm doing a live training or whether I'm capturing something that's in, the form of long form content, maybe 10 minutes, 15 minutes to 90 minutes. And I can have a virtual assistant or an admin or a videographer cut that up. And then I can take, and have 20, 30, 40 pieces of content, which I can post very consistently. Here are some initial numbers that I'm going to share that may be beneficial for you. And I want you to understand this from the place of what is possible for you. So, in my first couple years in the business, when Facebook was brand new and I had very few people on my list that were actually relevant to me doing business with, I think like a lot of us, we had hundreds and hundreds of realtors in our marketplace or, inside of the real estate environment. There's a purpose for all of that. But when I really look at the people that were on my list that would buy, sell, or refer me business, those were very few. I built that up to about 1,000 people in terms of a relevant list in a couple years. And in that time, I had about 38,420 engagements on my Facebook entirely. Okay. Now, in that, though, I studied that 1 in every 54 private Facebook messages, if I was nurturing, if I was providing value and doing it consistently every month, okay, every month is important, I started to convert through that metric. I noticed that I got a 95% higher engagement rate on my personal page versus my business page, 47% higher in groups, and I really only got a 3% engagement rate on my business page. But the game's changed now with the potential to run appropriate ads. I use ads for more of a branding technique, okay, with specific audiences. So if you haven't been, and I'm not going to go into it too much today, if you have not been using the ads manager to create invisible audiences like marketing to everybody that you have an email or phone number for, specific postal codes if you're direct mail marketing or things like that, that's what I use it for now, and I get a much higher engagement rate. But when you look at 38,420 per year, that meant I had about 100 engagements per day. I pulled this last week, and I haven't been posting quite as much in the last 2 weeks due to some personal circumstances. But in the last 28 days, 95,000 views on my social, Facebook alone, okay? 7,495 people engaged in the month. So when you look at this, by posting more frequently, nurturing, curating, and cultivating the right people on my media, I'm getting usually over 100,000 people that will view my content on a monthly basis for free. So when you start looking at this from your own perspective, just in terms of what is possible, we are in the most opportune time in the history of marketing. Like when I started in the business, and I know for many of you that started before me, it was nearly impossible. Okay, it was nearly impossible to get 100,000 sets of eyeballs on us in a month without spending thousands and thousands of dollars. Okay, in this market, in this day and age, in this age of media, you can get well over 100,000 for free. I'm studying with some people that are getting over 1 million a month for free. And so just understand that there's a method behind the madness of getting more eyeballs on us, but it requires action. Okay. And the action is, am I posting? but am I being intentional about what I'm posting in terms of creating relevant content that resonates with my audience, that's going to serve and support them? Serving and supporting. And again, it's free. Okay, there is no other platform aside from picking up the phone that you are going to be able to utilize for free every day to get engagement and eyeballs on you in terms of what you want to create. And it doesn't have to be special. Okay, the number one content hack in terms of where I get my content from my phone. Okay, this is not spending a fortune with media companies and things like that, or marketing companies, or agencies. This is real life, real time. Where can I take some shots? Where can I take a selfie that's going to resonate or might gain some traction, that's going to support people, or that may even give people a laugh or let people know what I'm up to without being silly or without the big ego, which, gosh, I've lived that in this business, that does not get the traction that we want. Okay. Oftentimes we talked about lead magnets, or we talked about, positioning a call to action. Remember that Facebook does not like links. So that's why I always will say, click on the link to register in the first comment. It's the same thing with YouTube. I understand that many of you are looking to build your YouTube, channels or get your SEO through YouTube, but much better to be posting that YouTube link in the first comment, even if you're trying to direct them there, so that the algorithm keeps people on Facebook. Facebook doesn't want you leaving Facebook. Facebook's big competitor, as we know, is Google. They don't want you leaving to some of these other platforms. So post your links in the first comment. So we've gone over posting, we've gone over content, very surface level, but I think that you get the gist. I'm going to give you the most important strategy that you will learn today, right now. And I'm going to give this to you in a format that you can use, and you can walk away from this and immediately deploy this in your business. And if you do, I guarantee you results. I absolutely am 100% certain that this will get you results. So when I first got into real estate, I created my own methodology called Facebook A to Z, A to Z for my American friends here. 26 letters in the alphabet, 30 days in the month. Day one, I would go through the A's. Day two, I would go through the B's. Day three, I would go through the C's, and so on. Sending simple messages that do not sell. I would add people daily. Okay. Now, for myself, I do have an agent audience, and I have a large network of agents that I would do the agent to agent referrals with and still do. I would add people in my local community. I would add my past clients. I would even add past leads if they were relevant enough to hit my social platform. And I would start conversations using what I call the $1 million dialogues, keeping it casual, human, and value-based. And then I would just track the conversations with a simple spreadsheet. I started with Excel, but it then turned into my CRM. And I've used a platform or multiple CRMs over the years. Currently, Follow Up Boss, that may change soon too. Why would this work when everything else fails? Because it's personal. Messenger builds trust faster than any ad. It's duplicatable. You can send the same messages to different people. Now, the more personalized the message, the greater the result. But depending on what audience, what message you're sending, it can be very duplicatable. It is scalable. The more conversations you have, the more closings. Guys, think about this. If you're out in public, whether you're in a networking group, whether you're at a function, whether you're at your next realtor seminar, the more conversations you have, the more people you speak with, the more opportunity that you have to generate more sales. Okay, that's irrefutable. The same thing happens in Messenger. And you get to control the activity and volume, which means that you can do more of it in less time. The $1 million dialogue. I want you to take a look at this, and when you see it, I want you to take a picture of it so that you can walk away from here, think about how you can use it in your business in current space and time, and then you can send it. The $1 Million Dialogue is the pattern behind every appointment and every closing that I have ever had. Okay. But it's the piece that nobody is teaching. I have yet to come across anybody that is teaching how to properly prospect and engage with an audience through Facebook. So there's 3 rules to it. 1, you must lead with curiosity, not persuasion. Let me give you an example of what not to do. And please don't do this to me. And this is going to sound probably like I'm a bit of an asshole. Sorry, not sorry. Do not send me a Merry Christmas graphic with your branding for your real estate brokerage on it and say nothing else. Okay, that is not curious. That is not value. That is you saying, Merry Christmas. I want to remind you to do business with me. Do send how you're doing, what you're doing over the holidays, and maybe some curiosity about what I'm up to as well. I'd love to have a conversation that way. Remove pressure and reveal timing of the now so that it shows that you're current. You have to guide people, but don't chase them. Guide them, but don't chase them. This is the slide that I want you to take a picture of for certain. Okay. When I got into the business, initially, this is the very first thing that I did. Okay. I had about 1,000 people on my social media, which was Facebook. And I created this message and I crafted it again, sending messages to the people with the last name A on day 1, last name B on day 2, and so on. And this was the message. Hi there, thanks for the connection. This is after I friended them. Or they had been friends for a little while, and you can tweak this messaging. It's not rocket science. I've started in a new business with a new company, and I would like to update my records so I can send some information. Please send me your email address, phone number, and mailing address. Thanks so much. 1,000 people, okay? And I wasn't creating anything relevant in terms of content then. Out of that 1,000 people, only about 300 people responded. Out of that 300 people that responded, only approximately 100 people actually sent me that information that I requested. But that 100 people became an absolute gold mine of a list. Remember, as I go back to the beginning when we talked about that 100 people and what you can do if you're nurturing them in terms of numbers, 14.3 minimum can be drastically different if you're nurturing them at a super high level. Like the speed of getting involved in this business and the speed of doing things to, generate business. This is what I would do in any market I was in. I would probably complement it with something that's going to get more people into the funnel. But that 100 people became a gold mine because then I could start doing all the stuff that we get taught how to do in just about every real estate working by referral platform that you can learn in. Sending personal notes, picking up the phone and calling them, qualifying them, doing pop buys like, gifts at Christmas or pumpkin pies at Thanksgiving or Halloween or things like that. Nurturing them the right way. And this is what it does. It takes you from the likability that somebody might have for you in your audience that agreed to be your friend on Facebook, and it breaks down the barrier of respect. So you create the likability and respect that combines. And if you nurture them and you nurture them consistently, you begin to become the obvious choice that somebody would do business with. The current message is not different. So if you're not new to the business, or if you have done this before, or you've, conversed and had connection, you can easily shift this. Hi there, just wanted to touch base and see how you and your family are doing. A number of people have questions about changes in the market lately, so I'd love to keep you updated with relevant information. Please send me your email address, phone number, and mailing address. That begins to curate a list. And I know exactly what so many people are saying right now. Oh, I don't want to send messages like that. I don't want to bother people. I understand. But these are the types of results that you get. And I'll get back to the bothering people in a second. This would be a New Year message that I've sent. Hey there, hope you had an amazing holiday season. It's been a little while, so hopefully we can connect sometime this year. Hope all is well at the house. Past client. If you ever need anything or know someone thinking of making a move, I'd honor your referrals as always. Again, hope to see you soon and have an incredible start to the year. So know that I sent the original message first, nurtured them through conversations along the way, and then had more of a call to action message. The result, thank you, Ryan. I've seen you had quite a successful year. Congratulations. Your hard work is paying off. Truth be told, I want to get rid of that house. I don't even live in it. I rented it out and had some bad tenants, and now it's sitting there empty. Year after year, people that I train, coach, mentor in my own business and outside of my business, these are the results that happen time and time again. Even when you're sending them via text, if that's where you prefer. Okay? Got a message from an agent after sending one of these messages. Hey there, hope all was well with your family. I was wondering if we can chat sometime today. My grandma has her new house for sale. The listing agreement expires Thursday. The rep is a family friend, and I think she butchered the listing price and has put no effort into selling the house. I thought this might be an opportunity for you. Let me know your thoughts. So after the listing expired, I connected with that agent, an agent now, which I'll get to, sold grandma's house. Years later, this agent is a top performing realtor in my company through simple messages. Like the return on investment of these conversations is drastic, especially as it starts to compound, especially if we move away from being transactional and we continue to keep in touch with people. Because real conversations beat algorithms all day long. They just do. This works for agents, okay? If you're looking to build your business, how can I 100% build my list to 100 minimum? Because 100 in my market, on average, if that converts to a 14.3, that's $140,000 in commissions. Okay, average commission here is 10,000. Most of you watching here, your average in your markets is much higher. It's a multiple six-figure return on investment if you've got a list of 100. Team leaders, one, and broker owners, you can both use these for the purpose of recruiting agents. Okay, if you're in the agent attraction environment, the same principles apply to offer value to agents, to invite them into your space, and to create and cultivate relationships, which eventually, when their broker owner pisses them off or their business is suffering and they're looking for somebody that's a leader, you become the obvious choice. For team leaders and broker owners as well, this strategy to share with your company members can drastically differentiate what they do in terms of performance in the year ahead. But you've got to teach it, and you've got to teach it consistently. Okay, the real estate environment has just become this environment of like one-off training. It's the next magic pill or shiny object that, somebody can go attend. And we know that when we attend these things, very rarely do we actually take action anyways. So the consistency in terms of training is critical. Not only that, but, inside of my environment, I learned a long time ago that there's a drastic difference between learning-based knowledge, okay, so come and get something and learning, versus performance-based training, where you're actually walking a path with somebody, showing them how to perform, okay? Same thing applies with mortgage professionals, business leaders, and all of this requires zero ad spend, and it is all messenger based. Okay, zero ad spend and all messenger based. Simple free marketing that allows you to create and cultivate relationships and have conversations, not about selling, but it's just like when you go to a grocery store, if you walked up to somebody and say, hey, do you want to buy a house with me? Person's going to turn around and run. But you know that when you're having conversations at the grocery store with somebody that you know or somebody that you bump into, and when they know that you're in real estate, they're going to ask the number one question: how's the market? right? It's the same framework, but you're just using these conversations online. So you start with a light check-in. Okay. You can identify if real estate is on their radar without even saying it. If it is, you offer help, right? Whether it's a market evaluation, a buyer consult, maybe it's a lead magnet that's going to give them market updates. Maybe it's just a coffee, finding out how somebody's doing. You're going to book the call, set the appointment, and follow up. There's zero pressure to any of it, just real conversations. In my entire broker career, coaching career, I've never had to like pressure somebody into joining my company or smash the competition or anything like that. All I'm doing is offering value. And the value that I provide, if it resonates, will keep me front and center or one of the first that comes to mind for a potential opportunity for somebody if they're looking for something different or if they're looking for some help. It's just human to human connection. Like that is really all that it is. Again, it's personal. Messenger builds trust faster than any ad ever will. You can send the same messages to different people so that you can scale. You can control the activity and volume, but you don't want to get flagged. I had posted this in a couple slides back. Remember, keep it to under 50 conversations on Facebook a day. I like to try and keep it at about 25. And I might use 25 on different platforms depending on, how big I'm going to go in a week to book appointments. This books appointments every week. And I guarantee many of you that are on here, you and I have had some kind of discovery call, some kind of interaction. You joined up on something and we first connected through Messenger. I'm going to venture to say that the vast majority of the people that have joined my organization over the years has come through initial conversations in Messenger. And I know there's a couple of you laughing on here right now because we have appointments booked in January and our conversations were happening either here in Messenger through Facebook or in Instagram Messenger. It's just the way that it goes. So why won't people do this simple thing? The thing that makes me scratch my head. But I know that people have a hard time reminding people that they're in the business of buying and selling real estate. They have a hard time reminding people of what it is that they do. And that has a lot to do with some deep-rooted personal development that I think that most should actually have in place before they get into this business. We know that the reputation that real estate has, or they say, I don't want to bother people. Okay. Real estate's a contact sport, guys. There's no way around that. So what I often see when I'm training agents, when I'm coaching agents, is that they don't mind just throwing something up on their, social media feeds, but they won't actually want to have a conversation with somebody. We've got to break down that barrier. Like it's a contact sport. Nobody wakes up each and every day ever and says, I wonder how Ryan Hodge's real estate career is doing today. Like not my friends, not my family, not my realtor network, not my closest of people. And I guarantee it's the same for you. So we have to remind people that not only are we in the business, but we are open for business, right? We're open for business and that we want their business. Okay. I've fallen into the realm in the past of, appearing too busy for my people. Huge mistake, cost me hundreds of thousands of dollars over the years. Got to remind people that we're in the business and open for business. And we've got to make contact. Okay, there's no other way to do this thing other than having more conversations with people if you want to grow your business. So we've got to get past the resistance that we have to bothering people. Okay, the law of resistance says that, whenever we resist doing the things that we know that we have to do, that we must do, that we should do, and if we do that thing, we're going to get a result. When we resist that, negative energy actually situates itself in our experience. And what does that negative energy situate itself in our experience as real estate agents, broker owners, team leaders, or mortgage professionals? Lack of income. And nobody wants that. So we've got to stop resisting doing the things that we know we have to do. Like we are 100% in an action economy right now. And the great news is competition's not doing it. So you have an advantage if you begin to do some of these things. So who's going to win in this market? I'll tell you exactly who will win because I've seen who's winning right now. One, marketers. Okay, the people that are actually studying marketing, whether it's on social, whether it's email, whether it's in their network, but they're actually learning what marketing's about. Hence the word the real estate market. We are marketing to the market. Two, those that build deeper connections with their audience. Okay, those that build deeper connections with their audience. Surface level stuff has to go. The realtor driving up in the Lambo thinking that's going to win the day has to go. The gal that's dancing around half naked saying buy and sell real estate with me on TikTok, not going to cut it. At least not my world. But the person that delivers value, they're going to do big things. The person that makes more connections doing value, they're going to win. The person that delivers the most value to the marketplace always wins. And the person that goes all in. All in. Okay, there's no other way. I don't want to half-ass it. I work with people that are high performers. I work with people that want to be all in their business. Is it perfect? No. Am I? No. But all in is going to win. So you have to ask, are you going to be all in? Because if not, perhaps there's some personal development versus professional development that's needed. Okay, and when I talk about personal development, no, you don't need to come to Peru with me and take ayahuasca with the shamans, but looking at what it is for you that is going to allow you to break down some barriers to perhaps get beyond some limiting beliefs that you may have. And I've shared this a number of times this year. What's the number one answer that I get when when I ask an agent, what would be a great year in real estate, whether they're brand new or experienced and they're, looking to coach with me or they're looking to come into the brokerage. Do you know what the number one answer is? All day long, it's $100,000. By far the most well-known answer. Okay. It's the same answer that was given 15 years ago when I first started. It's the same answer that was given when pricing was a third of what it is now. Because in my market, average, commissions $10,000 to $12,000. I know some of you again higher. In your marketplaces, you didn't have to sell 20 or 25 homes a year 15 years ago to make 100 grand. We did. Okay, but now even in our market, that's saying I want to sell 8 to 10 homes a year. There is no transaction on the planet that's going to take you 160 hours, which would be a 40-hour work week. I'm going to suggest that there's very few that would take 80 hours in its entirety. So what your competition is really saying is that I want to make $100,000, but I want to work part-time. And that's the truth of our business, and it's a real problem. And when people are not setting their goals much higher, and we know that most people, when they set a goal, very rarely achieve it or actually get to it, it's going to tell you a lot about why the industry is the way that it is. Low barrier of entry and limiting beliefs that are ingrained in us from a very young age on why the industry, why much of the school system, why much of our society breeds mediocrity and average. Because we know what the average is in this industry. It's about 3 sales per year. I'm guessing next year it's less. And so I know that most of you aren't in that realm. But when you start looking at, if I want to do more, if I want to be more, if I want to grow my business more, which is really the purpose of this session, what's in it for me or what's inside of me that's saying, why not me? Why can't I go to that next level? And if you're at the level that you're satisfied with, awesome, right? Awesome if you're achieving your goals. But the reason that I go a little bit more hardline on this right now is that as a broker owner with the number one independent in terms of brand performance, Southwestern Ontario, coaching high performance team leaders, broker owners, and other agents, I know that there's a lot of people that did not achieve their goals this year. It's been a tough year. And so looking at, what's inside that is maybe showing up outside might be something to take a look at. So I'm not going to pitch you on coaching today in that space. For those that, look at my coaching, I do this all day long with the system, building your organic ecosystem, booking daily appointments, staying consistent. I'm going to give you resources on all of this afterwards that will support you further. When you do come in to work with me, it is weekly. Okay. Facebook funnel, direct messaging vault, personal conversion review, calendars, all the stuff, right? And you can find all this online, bonus courses, all this stuff. I'm not doing a big coaching pitch today because what I want to do is give you a 100% opportunity to take this as a free value add that I provided and support you in just taking action when you walk away from here for free. Okay. My guarantee is that if you do it, you're going to get results. You got to show up, do the work, and you will get results. And if not, like I say to people with coaching, there's a 100% money back guarantee. But today, without signing up for anything, I guarantee that if you don't do this, you're missing out. You're missing out on a lot of opportunities. And I want you to have a tremendous amount of opportunity in 2026 and beyond. It is open season to generate great business right now. And I know it's within any of you that showed up here today. In terms of taking action, if you can walk away from here and do one thing, it is Facebook A to Z or A to Z. If you can't do that, I need you to stop and say, why can I not send these types of messages? There's some real discovery inside of that. Okay. I'm going to give you 5 scripts to convert leads in Messenger. These are more for leads that may register on your social. Okay. So, or on your lead generation as far as landing pages. So these are some follow-up scripts that you can utilize. Be sure to make them relevant to your market or to your own message, but don't tweak them entirely so they're drastically different. I'm going to give you, if you haven't gotten it already, a free messenger tool that I built. It's just a little Excel file that I recreated. And the tool is designed to help you reverse engineer and actually plan and master your conversion with messaging. So if you're registering or you haven't registered for these, please do so. It's a great little tool to show you how your messages will show up in terms of converting to deals. Don't worry about that one. And if you have questions or you need additional support or want to learn about either the realty firm or my consulting, you can hit the QR code for a discovery call if you have not done one already. If you have, send me a message and we can reconnect and go from there. So that is just over an hour. And ultimately, I am going to open this up for a short period if anybody has any questions. Do you guys get some value out of that today? Cool. Yeah. I see there's some comments. What am I using as a CRM, Brad? Follow-up boss. I've got a very, very highly scrutinized follow-up boss account that I've worked with some pretty heavy hitters with online lead generation. I've got a platform inside of the company that allows members to take part without being part of a team. So I've built that out for additional opportunities within the company. So I'm scrutinizing Follow-Up Boss. The challenge with Follow-Up Boss right now is just the whole Zillow dynamic and it being owned by Zillow. I've got some questions and curiosity. I'm not going to do anything with it right now, but certainly in 2026, we'll be exploring some different options.
And then just another follow-up question to that with regards to the CRM. What have you heard of RealTrack and what might be your thoughts on it if you have?
So I have not heard of RealTrack. I may have heard of RealTrack, I should say, but I haven't explored it.
Okay.
The one that I'm exploring, well, I'm exploring 2 things. I'm in the process of acquiring a lead gen company. So that's on my radar for 2026, an acquisition of like a full full one with a CRM, but the challenge with lead generation softwares of any kind, whether it's Agent Locator, whether it's I use Selling Tools, whether it's Sierra, their CRMs tend to be like science projects, I find. We're going in and using them in the back end and things like that. I feel that most agents won't use them in terms of what I've studied over the years. And so it's usually a bypass to a more robust, simple, user-friendly CRM. So Follow Up Boss has probably been the number one. KV Core is right up there. There's a couple others. I am looking at, there's one coming down the pipeline called SureSend, SureSend. It's a Cheplack and Preston Guyton product that they're putting out there. And I think it drops in 2026. What I do know is that they're very, very strong with email deliverability, like that company, like the whole Cheplack, Reside. They've got so many of them. I don't even know what they are right now, but their email deliverability stuff has really piqued my mind. I went to a mastermind of theirs, more so for agent attraction earlier in the year. And I started to learn a lot about email deliverability, which I've been transferring inside of our organization through the year, which I'll continue to because it's really, really important. And then I went into using some of the principles. I went into the big Tony Robbins, Dean Graziosi mastermind, where we were testing the principles to share a product, which is just a white labeled Go High Level, which is another CRM that I use, by the way, Go High Level. So I have that. All my lead magnets and that are built in Go High Level. My funnels, everything that you saw, the automations through this to get to webinar are all Go High Level. But in Mastermind, using it and applying like frequency and studying open rates and things like that, like there were thousands and thousands, and I had a small list and hit the top 50 in the world, which was only the top 50 were recognized. It's not a look at me, but I was just like, holy shit, there's a lot of stuff that can work here. The thing with all of it is, and what I share, getting a list of 100 people and sending a private Facebook message to them, do that first before anything. And if you can't do that, I would study that, right? I would sit back and explore that. Because I think that, for me is what I really see with agents, and I see it all the time where agents will come in and they'll want to know about CRM and the automations and stuff that I've built, or my lead gen platform, or direct mail marketing, but they won't send a simple message that doesn't sell. And if you can send the message, like you don't have an issue internally or by hitting send, when you start to learn that and you start to gain some confidence, it allows you to do everything in this business. Because confidence has a direct correlation with our capacity for more. But when we can't send a message, right, it's pretty hard to do the other things. It's pretty hard to have, a conversation in an open house or when you're actually live in front of somebody that you applies somewhat of a sales technique for conversion, right? And so I always look at minimize to maximize. So how can I take this big giant business called real estate and simplify it? And that's where, a lot of people will study like key performance indicators like ROI on a lead magnet or ROI on their direct mail or things like that. I look at ROI on, am I able to send a message with confidence so that I can actually, serve and support my family? And if not, what's getting in the way of me doing the thing that I know will work if I do it? That was a long, long answer to your question about a CRM, brother. Anybody else? Any questions? Anything like that?
When you're gaining friends and stuff, you're doing that all through your personal Facebook page rather than a
Personal.
business kind of side of things?
Absolutely. Yep. I would take the business ones that you find as a decent engagement, and I would more than likely take them and move them into personal, if it makes sense.
Okay.
Same thing with leads. Like if you send emails out, so for framework for email, like I will be sending probably weekly to my lead list. Okay, not like automations, but I will send weekly video in a month. So market update, me on video. Um, Current trends, or sorry, that's market update. Community and charity, probably once a month. Um, Newsletter, what's going on in the real estate environment on a local, provincial, federal level once a month, and maybe a local company event. Video is easy for me. I get that it's not for everybody, but once you get into it, it gets very, very easy. But even if you're not sending video, like the frequency of email needs to increase as well. And so when I send those, I can see who opened them. I can also see who clicked on them, right? And if I can see somebody that has clicked on something multiple times, they might be a good person to either send a text to or add to your friend list or whatever. You can always remove them, right? But like that's how these relationships and engagement, they just start that way.
When you say you're posting stories about, someone you've helped buy a home, your clients, those types of things, I mean, obviously there's some confidentiality. Like anything you're posting, you're having to get both sides in agreement that you're able to
So
post, or
so
only if you're putting sale prices and things in there.
yeah, so there's definite rules to that. Like you can't identify the property, right? Unless you've got consent. But what I mean is instead of sharing a story about, I just sold this house with the address and price and multiple offers and whatever. I think those are important for authority and credibility as they happen. But what I also look at is, you know, taking a picture with your seller and sharing their story, like, and advising them that, I just loved working with you. And I can't believe that what we went through. And I'm really proud, that I got to serve you in this way. I do marketing on social media. Can I share a little bit and can we take a picture?
Okay.
Very, very few people will say no, right? Or, you're in a property, and what I don't like, and I see a lot of agents where they're showing a house and they're posting that house with some like either a negative comment or like this bathtub, like just stuff that they shouldn't be because it is a privacy thing.
Hmm.
But maybe you're in the neighborhood and you just, take a picture of, look at these tree-lined streets. I'm out showing properties today. It's so beautiful with the snow. Not that it is, but it is. You know what I mean? But that kind of story, all that I'm doing is reminding people that I'm in the business,
Hmm.
right? And when you look at, for example, one listing is about 7 pieces of content if you really think about it. You could do a just listed, you could do a coming soon, and I mean doing them without just the templated graphics, not that we don't use those, but you could do media day. Like you can do so much, to the just sold, to then that story post of what the client. Like the content is readily available to us if we just hack it down a little bit on what we're going to do in terms of usage.
Okay. Thank you.
Welcome. Gary.
I don't know whether you already covered this. If you did, I apologize. I wasn't listening. Does Facebook still have a restriction on the number of private messages you can send out in a day?
Yeah, you can get flagged. So I try and keep it to 25. I think that the max, and I haven't searched this in a while. I think the max might be 50.
Okay.
I always keep it to about 25.
Okay.
And if I'm really looking at, I want to hit more people in terms of like sending more messages, I might send some on Instagram, or I might send some, in other platforms or text just to make sure that my frequency is up there. Just depends on the goal for what the messaging is.
Okay. Thank you.
Anybody else? Anything I can serve and support with? Cool. Well,
The message that you sent out, I guess it was in January. Hope you had a great holiday season. If there's anything I can do for you, whatever. is that something like, I think it's a great message to send out the early part of January, but by the time you get to the T's and the S's and the T's, you're into the end of January. Is that still appropriate or
I think
relevant?
that you just start using common sense in terms of like your message, like just slight tweaks, right? Just subtleties and nuances. It might be where you pivot to, something in regards to goals. A lot of people, New Year's resolutions, or maybe that's part of the message where, a lot of people abandon their big goals for 2026. A lot of people have real estate goals that, they're unsure of the market. So I'm just trying to keep people updated with relevant information. You can pivot it anytime and all day long.
Okay.
I just realized that I look like a bit of a lumberjack today coming out of the bush, but
Not much better.
the snow kept us all over, and I was in a basketball tournament in Woodstock actually on the weekend.
Keeping us warm.
Any other ways I can support you guys today? Any questions at all? I'm good for 2 minutes anyways. All good?
Thank you so much.
My pleasure, guys. I hope that you have
Right.
an amazing holiday season. I will be doing consistent free trainings through 2026, primarily in webinar format. So I will be sure to launch another one as we get into the end of the holidays.
Are you doing your Monday momentum next Monday now? Yeah, it'd be the 22nd.
I will likely do it. I'm just looking at the show ups for that have certainly lessened as you get closer to the holidays, but I'll probably
Right.
keep one open for Monday, and then that will be the last one of
Okay.
2025, and then I'll jump back in with my company members in 2026.
Okay.
Cool. Hoping you
All right.
guys have a great one. We will talk real soon.
Thanks, Ryan.
Thank
See you
you.
later.
Take care.